He's there with Greg Smith.
Awesome. You're looking at the inside of the Jerry McCrory Countryside Sports Complex here in Sudbury, Ontario, tuning in for the new Holland Canadian U-20 Championships. My name's Brian Chick. With me today, Dustin Montpellier. And we are tuning in for action between Northern Ontario 2 and Manitoba 1. Manitoba skipper Shayla Hayward. And Northern Ontario, Raya Baker, playing out of the Horn Granite Curling Club in Temiskaming Shores. Dustin, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
Living the dream. Manitoba team, 4 wins right now and 2 losses. That puts them in playoff potential, but kind of too early to say. There's a lot of teams with 4 wins and either 1 or 2 losses. And these ladies will have a game tonight, 2 tomorrow, and potentially 1 more on Friday morning. So nothing is yet decided.
Yeah, so this is an important game for them.
And Northern Ontario 2, on the other hand, likely eliminated at this point with 1 win, 4 losses. And it looks like Manitoba will have Hammer to start the first.
Yeah, sometimes those teams that are out of contention, though, are playing pretty free and have nothing to lose at this point, so they can sometimes play their best games at this point in the week.
Yeah, it could certainly play spoiler. Those teams that are in the lead are still have to go and compete and perform, and if they have an off day, sometimes the result goes the other way. But like we said, this women's Pool B is jammed up. Alberta, British Columbia, Manitoba, Ontario 1, that's all of them. All have 4 wins. Alberta has 1 loss, and the other all have 2. So with a few games to go, that will change quite a bit.
Absolutely.
The order of those standings is by no means guaranteed. British Columbia playing on the next sheet over. Manitoba 1, and where's Alberta 2? They're over on sheet A, playing against Quebec.
15-8.
And that Quebec team's 3 and 2, so technically they're still in it. That's the Quebec number 1 team. Skipped by Summer St. James.
9-5, I think, yeah. You got it.
And right off the bat, Callie Holmes throws it into the top 4, and it looks like we might have a defensive end to start us off.
10? Yep. 10? Yep. 9-5. 9-5. 9-5. 9-5.
Whoa!
Throw.
And the hit is made, rolls to the outside 8.
Yeah, that's a nice roll with Hammer. You want to be rolling towards the wings.
Good throw.
Holmes will have a crack at it.
Nice shot. Nine.
Hanging a little on the wide side. And will it come up enough? It will not.
9-3. Just gonna check it. Okay.
So a break early for Manitoba. They're going to try to split the house, set up that junior deuce.
You got it.
Of course, that only works if everybody makes their shots for the rest of the end. This is Dana Wall looking to draw to the tee line on the opposite end. We were talking before the game, this ice surface has been ridiculously quick. We're talking 16 and a half second draws. The rocks were textured last night, so in theory that might slow it down a little bit, but there's still a lot of glide in these stones.
Yeah, I mean, first end, you never know after the practices, you know, you've really worn down that path to the button. You don't know how much slower it's going to be down the middle, so it's kind of a guess sometimes for the weight down the middle.
So unforced error there from Dana Wall, so Northern Ontario can get back on serve here with a nose hit.
This one's looking pretty good.
Yeah, this time playing it inside out. A little more movement there.
Good shot.
And Sydney Cat connects.
Okay, 9-5.
This is Kira Cron.
Easy.
Looking for a nose hit, maybe a little roll. Just a little kick inside.
Just watching the first few stones go down there, it seems like it's pretty straight outside in on the edge of the house there. Has it been like that most of the week there, Brian?
Yeah, most of what we've seen, especially if you bring the weight up a little bit, it does run pretty straight, especially out on the wings. And I know I was guilty of it as a junior. When you try to throw it that little bit extra, you might influence your release a little bit. And
a little inside out.
Get a little pop on it, a little too much. So still just trading hits here.
Same weight.
How many times did you play in a junior national or a U18 or a U20?
Never.
Never?
So this win that I had, we went to the Brier this year for represent Northern Ontario, was my first national ever.
Wow.
Lost every provincial final there is to lose, so.
Dubious honor.
Yeah.
Yep, roll it.
Felt good to finally win one, let me tell you.
I can imagine.
Especially that one.
I played all my juniors in the U.S., so I never got to play at a Canadian national.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I went to 3 U.S. nationals, but that was a different world down there a long time ago.
937 and 937. Wild. I said same weight, so 10. Do that same weight. I like my slide and my release was like the exact same both of them. I did the same like. Exactly the same.
This Georgia Cat here with her first.
This one's looking good.
Right on the nose.
Nice. It definitely did move up though with a 9.3 or 9.4. 9.5. You got it.
This is India Young with her crack at the open hit. Manitoba 1 playing out of the Carmen Golf and Curling Club in Carmen, Manitoba.
Yeah, feels like okay. It's good. 8-7. That's fine. 9-5. Whoa. Clean. Whoa. Clean. Clean. Just clean.
And another one right on the beak. This will certainly save some time on the thinking time clock for later in the game.
Got it.
Yeah, it's nice to have a nice simple end to start, settle in, and save some time on the time clock.
10, 9, 5.
You used to see this a lot more when they were 10-end games.
Yeah.
And you'd see those first 2 ends kind of just get wasted. But
Still solid.
we have seen it pretty frequently in now the 8-end game version of this event.
I would imagine it's more frequent in the junior play, like this U-20.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. So we have a roll out. Raya Baker will have a chance to throw a draw. We'll see if we can get a stopwatch on it here.
Yeah, it's always nice as a skip to be able to draw, have an open draw to the rings first end and get that feel for the rest of the game.
Alberta has a lot of options play already. And these guys.
The rollout doesn't seem like a big miss at the time, but it's these small misses that can kind of give your opponent that edge.
3-3. Shit, looks good.
Looks up.
Maybe up.
Looks way up.
Just up. Yeah.
9.
Yeah. 10.
Slow. Back, yeah. Back.
14-7-5.
14-8 on hers.
Looks pretty good.
Good.
Just about exactly to the tee line.
Okay.
That's a nice speed. That's a good on the maybe the slower side of fast or the faster side of normal.
It's
But
like an average speed.
yeah, it's a nice
14.7.
speed.
Yeah.
So yeah, 14 and a half, 15 seconds is a nice, quick piece of ice. Anything be above 15, it gets really slick.
I would assume the path's coming the other way where they've thrown a bunch for the draw of the button in practice is going to be faster than the path she just threw there.
That we will find out in the second end, perhaps. Now, Shayla Hayward.
What's the weight?
Only 19 years old, but fairly accomplished already. Won the U18s in 2024 and also represented Manitoba at the Canadian Mixed in the same year. I remember seeing her in St. Catharines.
Another rollout here, so Northern Ontario is going to get another chance at a free draw.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's okay.
It's a little straighter than I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of ice. Good throw, though.
Raya Baker, still a grade 12 student at École Secondaire Catholique Sainte-Marie.
Sweepers are staying right off this one so far.
Line good. Line good, make sure.
It's there.
Line good, make sure. Yeah, we're there.
Lily, hop forward.
It's about the same.
We're there.
Tick slower than the last one. 14.9 on this one.
Very nice.
And
You're 10. You want to throw 9?
Yeah, 9-5.
math checks out.
Nice.
We did notice we had a game with this Northern Ontario team earlier in the week. They seem to be a little softer on their releases than some of the teams here. I haven't had a good look at the Manitoba squad yet, but I remember thinking that a lot of their rocks were over curling or just kind of drifting a little bit more because they weren't quite as positive with the rotation. Something to keep an eye on for later.
Yeah, both of those draws did cross over to the other side of the center line, so definitely that makes sense.
Shayla Hayward looking for the blank here. Trying to hit and roll out. And the sweepers are on it, trying to keep it straight. Looks like it's all right, though.
Nice shot.
Hit and the roll into the wall. No score on the board. Manitoba will keep the hammer. We'll be back with the second end after a short break.
You were 9.
Welcome back to the New Holland U-20 Canadian Championships. Second end action just getting underway here between Northern Ontario number 2. Oh, sorry, Northern Ontario number 2 and Manitoba number 1. A lot of the provinces invited to send a second rep to round out this 18-team field.
This one is close to not making it over.
And it
not
does
quite.
not, no. 18 men's teams, 18 women's teams. 2 pools in each gender, and you got to play an 8-game round robin. Top 3 will advance to the playoff round. I like the format.
Seems to be the same format as the men's and women's, right?
Yeah, I thought we were close.
Not quite. The men, the Briar and Scotty's playoff has more steps to it. In this case, the winner of each pool will go directly to the semifinal.
Oh, I see.
And 2 plays 3 in a crossover to get to reach the semifinal. So
I see. Okay.
It doesn't have the page qualifying and all that. It's like the
ranking games. Yeah.
Good throw.
No, I like this. You still get your 8-game round robin, which is plenty. And if you're playing well and you qualify for the weekend, everybody's got a good chance.
Yeah, so it's a huge advantage to get that first place in your pool then, and get that bye to the semifinals. So.
And as we said, it's way too early to tell. Even though we're several games into this, nobody's really distinguishing themselves from the field.
Away.
Yeah. In the men's side, there's kind of 3 teams in each pool that look like they're going to do. It will be those 3 teams in one order or another. But in the women's, it's really too early to tell. Although Pool A is a little more settled.
I had 16-8 on there, so unless you throw a 16. Yeah.
So after that hog rock, we saw a corner go up, and Northern Ontario opts to go around the opponent's corner guard. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's not the typical strategy, but they made a great one. They're perfectly buried top 12 there. So normally I think the shot would be to throw the center guard and try to bring the play towards the center without hammer.
Manitoba trying to go around it, use that top 12 rock as a guard. And this looks actually really good too.
This is really nice, yeah. The problem with playing around the corner guard without hammer is that the scoring area becomes pretty big for the team with hammer, and you never want to leave the scoring area that big without hammer.
Two nice shots there from Dana Wall.
So they need a perfect freeze here. If they chop off or if they come up light, Team Manitoba will be able to split the rings or draw and lie 2 somewhere in the rings.
This one looks a little spicy to me. Not going to stop in time and all the way out the back.
So this is a great opportunity here for Team Manitoba.
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
And this is what you were talking about before, about that big scoring area. Now there's 11 feet of circles that will be good enough for second shot. Kira Khan looking to hit anything better than full 12, really. Would love it on the tee line. Oh, but it's not going to get.
Yeah, they're changing gears here, calling the guard.
Not what they called, but not a bad audible either. You can still make use of another corner guard. Better than throwing it through, that's for sure.
Okay, so second opportunity to make this freeze.
Weight looks a little closer on this.
Yeah, the line looks pretty close. It's got to curl a little bit.
Not going to curl
Still
up
max
quite
weight.
enough. Just maybe 2 feet too much weight.
That's right. It's such a precise shot. That's the problem with that call, is that you can be a foot off, and
I
it's,
can see like 2/3.
in this case, no good.
However, that yellow is shot right now.
Pat? Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, so not a whole lot. 14.5. Yeah. Well, you were 16. You 15.
15 will be back 8.
Yeah, 15. I think is plenty.
Is this just curled like crazy? She was way wider.
Is this too much ice or?
No, they should be really close for back 8.
Okay. Okay, just can't overthrow it.
Back 8 weight. We should be looking for around maybe that 14-second mark, hog to hog.
Pat, you were close. Whoa! Girl!
This looks a little warm.
This rock hasn't curled yet. There it goes.
14.2. The weight's not terrible. They just need to touch this yellow a little.
And just enough. Their shot now buried behind the tee line there, so.
Would have loved to keep that red in play, or second shot, but not to be. Maybe just a hair too much weight for what they called. Or maybe an inch too much ice. Either way.
Yeah, they could have probably managed it a bit different and curled it a little bit earlier.
Wait, why? I don't know. Yeah. We weren't even on it when it entered the house. Like.
You can hear the frustration with the line call there, but
I don't know why
it's not easy out here.
We weren't even on the rock.
It's okay.
I think there, if maybe the hesitation was if the weight was exactly right, trying to curl it might have pushed it too much.
Exactly. I tend to sympathize with the skips out here because I know how tough it can be, especially on swingy ice. It's very weight dependent on for the line calls.
Yeah, and we always go back to how important communication is in managing those shots. And if you get wrong information from your sweepers, they're doing their best guess, but sometimes they guess wrong. You can make the wrong call based on the wrong information. So
exactly.
It's really
that's why that communication back and forth and really trying to get that dialogue locked in is so vital.
We were like, gotta go.
So Northern Ontario came up light on their attempt for the freeze, so Manitoba's going to try to come around that one.
Gotta go.
Line looks pretty good, but I think they have to go for weight. Again, anything better than full 8 foot here will get you second shot.
They have to go here for weight.
Would love it. Just
Great
a
sweep.
little short. Again, not a bad spot.
Yeah, pretty good leave here. It is still tappable and usable for later in the end.
You might even be able to split that for 2. Or for 3 potentially, but
yeah.
a couple shots to come before that matters.
Yeah, Northern Ontario's looking at maybe perhaps playing the double on those 2 reds, which is very risky, but it is there.
It's splittable. Like, we can split it too on your next. If they don't hit it.
Yeah, although Manitoba's only sitting 1, they've got a lot of rocks in good places. And that rock in the top of the 12-foot is a problem for Northern Ontario.
Well, switching the turn here, so I'm not sure if they switched the call or just the turn for the hit.
Yeah, I was scratching my head about the same thing. Don't know if they're just trying to hit the red straight on or whether it looks like they're trying to hit the red.
Looks close.
They're going to make contact, and where will it stand?
Nice shot.
Yeah, worked out really nicely.
Curled a hair more, they could have clipped the shot rock, but
yeah, little dangerous there, but they got away with it.
Okay, you got it. Should move here.
Nose hit, a little bit of a roll. Put it
Nice
back
shot.
to a good spot. That red shot rock is well buried.
Yeah, for Northern Ontario, that back yellow rock that is second shot right now is very lonely.
It didn't move that hard either. It's kind of gradual. Yeah.
Okay, they're playing the tap on one of their top 12 rocks.
This has to curl. Oh, there it goes. It looked like it was running up the center line, but it suddenly snapped off, and this could be a really good shot.
Yeah, it looks close. Oh, very nice.
Really nicely done. Just gets it far enough to be shot rock. And perfect weight. Stops right there in the top of the 8, almost biting the 4.
You don't, like, we could play this. It's hard for this not to go into our own.
Yeah, that's like really,
We
and
can
I
roll
don't know
shooter.
if it's, like, are we ever using it again?
Yeah. Yeah, it's,
That's a little too,
yeah, we can play for that. Try to get reduced that way.
just really thin. It looks like it always is. And it just opens it up, which is freezing anyway.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so Manitoba choosing to kind of ignore
Similar? Yeah, I like it.
that situation on the right side of the sheet and just draw and lie 1 behind their top 12 rock.
It's a little surprising to me. Do you like this?
I think the angle on the run back is not ideal. Like, it looks like it's always going to hit your red one T-line, so maybe that's why they're thinking
Yeah, wait the 4.
it's not a great opportunity, but I see what you're saying.
I think you're right. It probably does jam, but I think it's also the easiest way to, again, to keep your scoring area as big as possible. A great draw here might get you 1, but then you got to make probably just a tougher one for your second point.
True. Yeah, definitely shrinking the scoring area with this call. But it's late in the end here, so if they can make a good one and set themselves up for a deuce.
All you! Line's good! Line's good! Straight, always straight. Yep. Line's good! Line's good! Forward, get here, fight the 4! Fight the
Line's
4,
really
hard.
nice. They just have to get a piece of the 4-foot,
Oh, leave it open.
and it's not going to get there. You don't want to overlap those 2 reds.
Ooh, maybe
16-8.
just a little bit of an overlap, but
Are they staggered or beside each other?
Now a big chance for Northern Ontario. If they can sink another one in there, it would be a guaranteed force and potentially a steal opportunity.
they're having to go pretty wide here to come around the top 12 rock. So we'll have to see if the speed is the same or a little bit slower. This is curling pretty early. They might have to sweep it to get by here.
Yeah, you can see this one definitely softer on the rotation, already going sideways, and this might be a costly error here.
Yeah, it looks like it's tapping.
Does it have the weight? It does not. But is there a shot?
Yeah, I think so.
Little more, middle.
Doesn't look like they're going to take anything on for a big end. Feeling that the angles are not working out.
Yeah, it does kind of look like that yellow-red combination is lined up onto the yellow, but as we said before, it's still kind of almost guaranteed to just jam on that second red. So if you're feeling ambitious, you might take it on, but I don't like your chances.
Line's okay. All you. Line's good.
This one's still on the corner guard here. They've got to curl it quite a bit to get by.
Starting to go. Will they sneak it by?
Very close. Oh,
Got the
not
rub, but it
quite.
might still be good enough. I think the weight was really good there. Just needed to curl another millimeter. So that is a steal on the board for Northern Ontario. They take the early lead, 1-0 after 2. Manitoba will hang on to the hammer, and we will be back with the third end in just a bit.
Today we learned to put one foot in front of the other. That with a little hard work, great things will happen. We can go for gold, but what matters most is having fun. We learn from some of the best, improving our skills, building confidence, and making friends that feel like family. We are proud to be the future of curling.
Northern Ontario manufactures a steal. Just got to be a little frustrating there for Manitoba. Couldn't get quite rocks in the places they want, and Northern Ontario makes them pay.
Yeah, Raya Baker made a great tap on her first to set up that steal.
As with most draws during this week, 8 games going on at once here in Sudbury. Good. Sheets A through D on this side of the rink, and then on the other pad, there's E, F, G, and H. So too many scores to keep you updated on. If you are curious about standings, results, and scoreboards, you can check out curling.ca/scoreboard.
We're almost in. I think we're in.
Trying.
Really trying. I think we're in.
16-3.
16-3 on that one. And is it going to slip in the rings? No, so
Just shy.
yeah, that's very quick ice.
Yeah, yesterday we definitely saw times into the 16, almost 16 and a half, getting to the tee line. So I think the sharper rocks will slow that down just a little bit. But either way, like, this seems like a fantastic service. Every player I've talked to has been raving about the conditions and how much they like playing on this ice.
Yeah, as players, that's all you want, is you want ice that, you know, you can make almost any shot on, and this is definitely that kind of ice.
15-9.
That's good.
So again, Northern Ontario choosing not to put a center guard. So it's not strategy that's kind of typical, I would say, without hammer, but it worked for them last end, so sticking with it.
Whoa! Hair up! 11-5.
sometimes you just find something that works for you, and if you can make the other team play your game or make them wonder every now and then what they're supposed to do, because you can, in fact, kind of confuse.
Yeah, being unpredictable can be effective sometimes.
Nice hit there. They would have liked a little roll under, but it's edge on edge. It's very difficult for Northern Ontario to get any kind of roll other than back towards their own. Sydney Cat here, trying to play the intern off the center line. Carving it over just a little bit, make contact, and the roll right across center, but those yellows suddenly bunched.
Well, there's quite a nice pocket there set up that Manitoba can use if they choose.
I like either. I don't hate it. The pocket. Okay, yep. Just a freeze. T-line. This looks like max. Looks like max size.
I don't know if I love this at this stage of the game.
Yeah, it's a bit of a risk, because if you do come up a little bit light, then you end up guarding your opposition stones in the forefoot.
Even if you make it perfectly, they lock another one on top, and now again that scoring area just gets smaller and smaller, and it's going to take you 2 or 3 shots to deal with it at least.
Line's good.
Exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things you see as a curler. You see that pocket form, and you automatically just want to freeze one in there.
Again, this stage of the game, you're only down by 1 with hammer. You still want to just kind of play for the safe 2.
Hard right to it.
And I did not mean to jinx them, but
Nah, you
they
said
did,
it. You
they
said
did
it out
come
loud.
up light, so.
She's just kind of like missing the weight the wrong way. Like that, we could have tapped it a little bit. Like she's just not her too.
Do you roll? Good sweep.
Well, then we just give him the same shot twice.
What?
16-2.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
I haven't been late like this whole week, and been late twice now this game. Sorry. Good
Well,
sweep.
you can make something with that still. Like,
Yeah, it's good. But
better way to win.
yeah, true. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Northern Ontario is going to try to put a guard on this situation here, feeling that they've got a good situation going on in the forefoot.
Yeah, and this is what you were talking about. If that red comes up light, then all of a sudden the tables turn pretty quickly. Still lots of rocks to come, but the situation just became a lot more complicated for Manitoba. Nicely placed there by City Cat and her sweepers. Overcurls just a hair.
Okay, I have half. I have half. Half a rock. You like just like back 4? Like back 4 or what kind of weight? Like half? Probably half. Probably can't throw much more than that. 13. Like back line, good back line. Okay. Like 13.5 even? Okay, watch the shooter, yeah. Yeah, we just split.
Calling for a 13 or back line. I think 13 is probably closer to hack or even maybe a bit more.
On 16-second ice, 13 is probably more like hack for sure.
I think if you get close to that guard, you can get up to the nose of that red, but it has to be well managed with the sweepers.
13, we're like bumper. Okay, to the bumper. Straight.
Well, plan B, just play the chip off the button.
Whoa!
Okay.
Better than it was, but yes, just too much weight on that one. Didn't give it a chance to catch the curl.
Yeah, I think I liked more that back 4, back 8 weight they were talking about at one point. Just a little bit more manageable with the sweeping and a little more options available with that shot.
I think there's almost too many thoughts going on there. She says back line, but also says 13. But I think in reality, the right weight is what you're talking about. Maybe like a 14 and a half to the back 4. Just try to move those around a little bit and improve your angles. All that being said, it's better than it was. You did get one of the yellows off the forefoot, and it's actually not easy to get that red out. but the yellow on the intern side, the left side of your screen, is accessible.
Which guy?
Yeah, not a bad situation at all. I know one thing that my team found this year is that sometimes too many numbers in your head is not a good thing. So these 13s and 14s, and sometimes you just got to go with feel and yeah, sometimes you make more shots that way.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of cases, I always stress with teams I work with, just make sure you know exactly what the objective is, because sometimes when you have a little too much wiggle room, everybody's on a different page. When we can do this, or we can do this, or we can bump, or we can split, or we can go straight back, or whatever. You know, like, well, which one are we trying to do? Let's start with that.
Yeah, it's always easier to make a shot as a thrower when you know exactly what you're playing and what you're trying to accomplish.
So now we've got that chase coming on the intern side. India Young for a nice soft, maybe hack weight here.
We're heavy. Heavy. We're heavy.
Don't think you need to make this curl. I think it lines pretty nice.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good.
Hard, Dana. Hard, you're really moving it. Hard, keep going. Keep going.
Nice shot.
Yep. Sitting shot, probably only one.
Like, Shayla, when you say back line, do you want like 13-5 or like 14-5?
You can hear them now clarifying with the back line and the 13 and the 13-5.
Yeah,
So
good thing to talk about, but
yeah.
Probably wanted to do that before you tried to make a shot with that weight.
So this is a tricky shot here because I'm not convinced that they can get rid of this red without jamming on the back.
No, I agree. I think
Unless they hit it really thin, which it looks like they might. So let's see here. Oh,
hit
just
the outside one,
outside one, okay.
which doesn't really accomplish a whole lot.
Can we just draw? We're shot right now.
I agree. If you tried to hit the shot rock, it almost guaranteed redirected and jammed on your backing.
Yeah, with the way those two reds were overlapped, it was very tricky.
Now, a good draw here could really put the pressure on.
I thought we were hair light. We're not heavy.
Has to be second shot here, or you see another takeout attempt coming.
We're like top 4.
This is a great opportunity here for Team Manitoba with Hammer.
15 and change should be pretty close.
Just T-line.
You need to cover the inside half here. I'd say that's pretty good. However, can you get to the inside of that second shot rock to make the double?
I think you definitely can. I think anything with like up weight, maybe half a rock.
Sorry, mine was just heavy, I guess. I was like 12.5, 12.3.
The rock is fully exposed, but is there enough room to sneak by that high guard with weight? Yeah, there certainly is.
Yeah, I just ran some straighter than I thought too.
Okay, I only heard they're throwing a 9.5, so they should be able to maybe not make the double, but at least nudge that shot rock over into the open.
Yeah, you don't always have to kill it if you can move it far enough. But.
9-5.
Raya Baker with her first of the third end. On the red, but it needs to curl.
Oh.
And actually got a little bit lucky there as it kissed off her own to redirect and squirt across the top. Just touches the yellow first. Right there.
But this is trouble now though for Northern Ontario, because if Manitoba can hit this shot rock and roll in, they'd be lying 3 with Hammer. So this is
yeah,
quite the opportunity here.
almost, if she hits that a millimeter thinner, that roll is frozen.
To roll frozen on top.
That would have been greasy, as we say. You gotta apologize for that. But yeah, just rolls a hair too far, and now Shayla Hayward has a chance to make a little chip and roll here to sit 3. And Raya Baker will have some work cut out for her to limit the damage.
You definitely want to roll here. towards the guard, because if you happen to nose, there would be pretty makeable double.
Yeah, there is room, lots of room to get by the guard and the low side here, but this one is running on the wide side.
They definitely have to curl this one. She seems to have good weight, though.
She gets the nose, just rubs the second red on the way by. Now, as you said, there is a double there.
Maybe a triple.
Maybe a triple if you whip it.
A little bit. Yeah, I thought weight was okay here. I need like on the rocks that I think.
And the triple's not far off from a nose hit. So you could throw the the triple to sit two and get the force out of this.
Yeah, no.
But you'd have to throw a bullet and just catch the second one pretty thin.
It looks like they might just throw the hit and roll behind the guard. Talai's second shot buried and then force a draw for two, which is also okay,
I'm sure
I
we
guess.
can hold those two, like if you were tighter. Like I think if Dana got on it, we could hold it.
I think the triple is definitely there, but it is not exactly a high percentage shot. So yeah, if you can make the roll here, you have a good chance to force or at least to keep it the damage to two.
Yeah, like the triple's lucky there. Like I think if you threw the weight, the triple's there. 10.
And sometimes you got to throw the shot that's in your comfort zone as well. Like, I'm not too familiar, but maybe the high hard ones are not her forte. So
called a 10-second hit here, and this is really tracking. Wow.
Oh, you know what? She ended up
worked out okay.
Yeah, she ended up making a double, so that's great.
Maybe not the double that she had lined up, but gets away with it. And Manitoba will still be happy with this chance for a score of multiple, but are they looking at the split for three? If so, I love it. Let's get crazy here.
Be a fun shot to see.
Yeah. Nah, doesn't look like it. Just the draw. Anything better than full 12 will get them a second point.
Yeah, with the houses being so lively, it doesn't take too much weight to make these doubles. She made that double look effortless.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot of weight, but they both sprung out.
Yeah, it looked like a 10 maybe, like a control weight. So.
Last shot of the third coming. Manitoba's Shayla Hayward looking for anything better than full 12.
Sweepers on this one.
Keep going.
16. With sweeps, we'll get right into the top of the 8-foot. And maybe even a bite of 4 right to the button. So that is some slick ice. 2 points on the board for Manitoba. They take the lead. We're going to take a 30-second break, and we'll be back with the fourth.
16-1, so.
Fourth end underway. Manitoba gets 2 on the board, takes the lead. That was an end that could have gone a couple of different ways.
Gotta go.
Looked like Manitoba had a chance to maybe set up 3, and I'm not going to call it an accident, but maybe an uncalled result from Northern Ontario limited the damage to 2.
Yeah, definitely Team Manitoba's putting a lot of pressure and setting up some ends so far in this game, but not quite getting the breaks late in the ends to finish it off. But I mean, still a great 2 points. Northern Ontario is going to look to do the same thing with hammer in this end.
17.
So first time for Manitoba not having hammer. They actually put up the corner. And we'll have to see how Northern Ontario reacts. And it looks like they're calling the corner guard.
Yeah, so we're going to see a different kind of end here with the center guard. And now the corner guard coming up. Looks pretty good.
You don't frequently see both teams throwing the guard. But I love it when it happens because it just usually means some chaos is about to unfold.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting end. For the team without hammer, it's kind of whatever you prefer because you end up with the same 2 rocks. Either you throw it top 4 first and then guard it, or you throw the tight center and then come around it. So it's kind of what you prefer as a team, assuming the other team doesn't hit your rock.
Dana Wall with the come around, just, I was gonna say
Back
a
button?
little heavy, but that's getting really picky. Just 2 inches heavy. Perfectly buried.
And it's pretty good. It definitely shrinks the scoring area to a very small part of the button here. So.
And now immediately you see Northern Ontario reacting and ignoring the corner guard for now, but trying to make the come around themselves. My #1 pet peeve as a curling coach is people who throw the corner and then never use it.
Yeah, it happens quite often.
Yeah, not to say it can't come into play later on, or right now. Actually, this one has to curl past it.
I always say it's always there for a nice angle raise on your last shot or something, right?
And
just to say rubs.
Yeah. No, I think if you're throwing that,
Oh, it has to go back.
Oh, it does go back.
That's right.
Yep. And that corner should be chipped back in an inch or 2. Maybe an inch more than that, but yeah, I think if you're going to throw the corner, you got to try to use it early on. Otherwise, it would just never. It's almost a wasted shot. You always know you're going to have to come back and clean up the middle later on, but if you can throw the corner, get one around it, at least gives your opponent something to think of, as opposed to just keeping piling them in the middle.
Yeah, they call it the box, right? So you end up with 2 of your opponent's stones down the middle, and 2 of your stones, but like on the side of the sheet. So
Manitoba trying to come around the center guard again. Looks like they're going to rub, just touch it, and it does stay in a good spot though. Those 2 reds covering that 4-foot control zone. Now that we've had 5 rocks in play, free guard zone no longer an issue. All of these can be removed.
Good sweep. Like, is there a double?
Yeah. Maybe hit it like just off, no,
That's
like all of a sudden, or but then we're still sitting.
Yeah, kind of at the hog. I thought I had more weight, so like I thought it would hold more out there.
Okay.
But
If we peel, it's fine?
yeah.
Yeah. Back?
I think the call here is to play the run back onto the one in the rings.
This one hanging a little on the wide side. Might get 1, but it will not make the run back attempt. Actually comes off the back of the second red. But it does go far enough.
So like a couple feet less.
Yeah, you were 16.
Manitoba just going to replace that guard. Might prefer it a little bit higher to make that run back a little more difficult. Puts it back almost in an identical spot, pretty close. And once again, Northern Ontario going to take a run at maybe the double.
Yeah, so I thought she had quite a bit of ice on the first attempt. This is a little bit less ice, so let's see if they can make contact with the one in the rings.
Not as obvious a set on the release there, I don't think.
Definitely a lot closer here.
Yeah, gonna make
Still needs to curl.
Not enough, and that one straight at the back. Shooter will hang around. There's your in-off for later. So once again, Manitoba will replace that center guard.
These guards may seem like simple shots, but they're not easy on ice that swings this much. You got to have the perfect speed and the perfect sort of weight to place these perfectly.
Yeah, by the time these start slowing down, they're essentially going sideways, so you really have to guess that line and play the weight exactly. And well done there to put it in a good spot yet again.
Yeah, very nice here. Northern Ontario looking to switch gears here and come around and play the freeze on the shot rock.
It's certainly there, but just, sometimes a shot suits your eye better than another. That yellow corner guard just seems to be in the way, although I think you can make it past. Sometimes you don't quite see it.
It's definitely in your line of sight. This is curling early here.
The corner guard's not a problem, but that center guard will be.
16-6.
And if they bump it, will it get a bite? No, not quite.
The overlap, though, staggered, is going to be a problem because now there is no run back on those rocks.
Yeah, just a little bit more. You're 17.
So now Manitoba's going to take on that same draw. This is another one you can just don't have to be exactly precise on. You can be short here all day, plug that hole, and Northern Ontario is no world to hurt.
Yeah, the tolerance on the shot is, like you mentioned, is definitely light. You don't want to be heavy here.
They're past the guard. This line's really good if the weight just slows down here.
This looks like a beauty here.
And right up to the
nice
tee,
shot.
Frozen and buried. That is perfect.
That's really good though. Yeah. Did it like fall again? No, I don't.
Twigs there if you hit it with the intern. High side.
Time to clear the front here for Team Northern Ontario.
You're trying to hit it this side, right? Well, like to go back to the red? Are we going back? Just guarding this.
A little bit of a miscommunication here on what the shot actually is, I think.
For the drag? Or?
Is it the run back on the back ones, or is it just clearing the front here?
I don't think the run back is particularly lined up, and if you're trying to play that drag effect, you have to hit it on the other side. So I think this is just a clearing shot. Oh, they made contact. It was a little more lined up than I thought.
Yeah, that's pretty good actually. And now there's a yellow one at the top that can be raised. So very nice shot there.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, I like it. Yeah. What was she? 15 something? Okay.
I think she might want to stay on this side though, if we can. Or top 12 on that side. Okay. This is the same ice as you, and you were like right to teeth. I think like a little less weight it won't hang so much. Yeah. Like a 16-8 should be good then. Okay. Kind of top 12 is really good. Yeah. And if we can find something we can take a little bit deeper, but okay. Top 12.
Shooter did stay in the way there, or the raised rock did. So now
Are they coming in again here?
I think so, but again, the miss can be anywhere light. Force your opponent to make a run back, and if you can get the angles a little confusing, then you got a good chance to steal.
I think a perfect spot would be like a top 12 or top 8, sort of leave some space between your two reds.
Yeah, just kind of half tucked on the top 12 would be really good. To pass the guard.
Yeah, we gotta be to it. Curl.
This one looks pretty
Yeah,
good.
you gotta be to it hard.
Yeah, you could leave that one higher, and then there is no run back double, but still a pretty good spot.
I would take that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not complaining too much.
Yeah, that's close. Wow. Oh, Ron, that's on me. Yeah, it was 64. It's really quick.
16.4 you heard, so
Wow.
16.5 seconds to the top of the 4 foot.
I didn't snipe your set at all, though. Yeah. We did. Dana was sweeping the whole way.
10 or 9?
Oh, Ron.
9-5.
Yeah, no, we got Dana on like at like the curling canvas sign, if not before.
Yeah, we were curling.
Oh, yeah, she curled us
I
today.
can see a little bit of it.
It's a good spot.
For Northern Ontario, they do have to make contact with something in the rings here on this shot.
Yeah, looking for the run back double potentially. Sweeping to hold it straight. Pretty close. Crossing it a hair.
It's close. Oh, just to say.
Over curls by an inch.
Yeah, I think we're going this way now.
Oh, okay.
Like, are you through this guard here?
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So with a well-placed guard here, Team Manitoba is going to be definitely in a steal position here.
Like, split center 3.
So we have our first coaches interaction of the day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they don't have the... Hey, yeah,
Ron
right?
Westcott,
Okay. Full 12.
Yeah.
I think full 12 is really
legendary coach out of Manitoba, has worked with a lot of their top
If you're
women's
full
teams,
12, she
including
doesn't have the angle.
usually associated with his daughter Renora, played
Yeah.
with Michelle Engla for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like
Among
that's
others.
okay. Because we were getting here, and then if it's a little deeper, it'll be here.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, you got it.
And India was
Yeah.
on hers. Okay, top 12.
I think Renora just won the ladies seniors in Manitoba this past weekend, I believe.
17, and it was just barely not.
I think you are correct, and based on what we were talking about before, the game will also be present at the Curl for Kids this weekend.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, you'll want to be at least a 16. Okay.
I saw Renora about a month ago at the Canadian Pride Championships. She was coaching a team against the team that I was coaching against. Or, we didn't play against each other, but both of our teams were in it. We were not playing.
Line's okay. Gotta be full 12. Line's good. You have room.
So number one priority, block the path, and if you can get a bite out of this, it would be a pretty good spot.
You gotta curl. Hard curl. Hard split center, Dana. Hard. Keep going. Yep. Oh, oh, oh.
And I'd say that's a pretty good spot.
Yeah, very nice shot.
How do you score here? Even if you run this yellow in, can you get those reds to go?
I think you're probably looking to limit the damage here.
Yeah.
The problem is there's also a couple biters of other reds, or maybe just one other red, but you gotta make sure you stick this yellow one into the ring somewhere.
Like this rock 3, I think it's
Yeah, I think the
pretty sure it's
obviously the
like
worst
on the
case is
yellow
you
part.
run it, and even if you clip something, you roll out, you could still be giving up 2. And there's no guarantee you ever connect on a run back. So big shot here coming.
Interesting to see what kind of weight they throw at this.
Yeah, this one you almost want to bring the weight down just a little bit so you can control it a little bit more with the brushes. Maybe just like a nice control, not that big peel that everybody wants to throw.
And it looks like that's what they've thrown, maybe more of like a normal.
Raya Baker looking to connect on the run back double. Hard
Sweeping
on
it
the
for
sweep.
straight.
Gonna get a piece, but does not stick it and rolls out, and that is a steal of 3 for Manitoba. Oh, maybe 4. They're gonna have a look at that top one.
Can we put a stick to this one?
So it's 3 for sure. The official will come out with the 6-foot measuring stick, and it might be for 4.
It looks really close. I think
Rye was so close on that run back.
Yeah,
It's just
just had to hit it an inch higher, and it was probably at least going to limit the damage to 1 if you stick it.
Depends the way you look at it. I think it might be out, but really close.
it's hard to tell from the overhead view, just with the angle of the camera. Looks out from our view, but
Yeah, depending on whether that camera is directly over the button, and obviously you're looking to the edges, so you do get a bit of an angle. And
This is for 4th for red.
the official always needs to clarify what score is already counted and what measure this is, so there's no confusion. And from that angle, it does not look in, and the official agrees, so it is a steal of 3. It'll make it a 5-1 game. We're going to head into the 4th and 5th end break, halftime, whatever you want to call it. We're going to take about 4 minutes, and we will be back on the other side.
Today we learned to put one foot in front of the other. That with a little hard work, great things will happen. We can go for gold, but what matters most is having fun. We learn from some of the best, improving our skills, building confidence, and making friends that feel like family. We are proud to be the future of curling.
Look at that shot. See how he reacts. There goes one move here. It's them both too. Great shot. That's a great shot. Oh, he's going to pick it right out of there. He's got it. It's what you need to become the Canadian What do you got? You got one, you got two, you got for the game.
Time to go home, kiddo.
Just one more throw, please.
Thank you. for making moments like these possible.
Sorry, I'm still way better than you, but I am.
I'm sure it gets
Yeah. Left in our halftime break here, but a big score by Manitoba just before the half. A steal of 3 on the board, and that really puts the game into a very lopsided category as it comes to when it comes to the upcoming strategy.
Yeah, it's time for Team Northern Ontario to kind of go full-on aggressive here and try to score some points and get back into this game. They do have 4 ends remaining. They can definitely climb their way back.
So yeah, you'll see Manitoba maybe keeping it a little bit cleaner, playing a little bit safer, and Northern Ontario now into that all-out offense. You'll see lots of guards, freezes, taps, not so many hits from the team in green.
No. Get out of here. I'm moving on your side.
So, fifth end underway.
I thought we were there.
Manitoba looking for the draw right into the 4-foot, and they're already calling back 8, which is not uncommon after they run that mop at the break.
Yeah, you always get that fifth end glide after the break. And even though you know it, it's just still hard to believe, and sometimes you'll see something like that where you just are heavy.
Yeah, and I don't even want to pick on juniors for that because we watched mixed doubles last week, and I think it happened almost every end where that first shot after the break was in the back line. And it always took almost a full end to get recalibrated to the speed.
A long week.
One other thing that's kind of unique to this event is that depending on the experience, the age and experience of your team, you could have a group that might be new and could still compete at the U18 level, or you might have people who are in the universities programs and playing at the U Sport and have been to U20s a few times. This Northern Ontario team has players as young as 14 years old. And I know Shayla Hayward's at least 19, but there's a big difference between 14 and 19 when you get to the experience level.
Absolutely, yeah. So this is a great building event for this Northern Ontario team. See 14, 14, 16, 17, so a very young team here.
And then on Manitoba, you've got 19, 19, 19, and 20. So some university age against some grade 9 students in some cases. But if that Northern Ontario team, the Raya Baker, can stick with it for a couple more years, that's how you get really comfortable, familiar with these events. You play the U18s a couple times, you play the U20s a couple times, and then a few years from now, you're in the position of those 19 and 20-year-olds who are here not to participate, but here to win it.
Absolutely, and like even playing on arena ice, there's so many different things that you're learning at these events, and the more you can come, the more you can eventually gain that experience. And
big miss there from Northern Ontario. That allows Manitoba the chance to throw a second one into the rings.
I was surprised they played the hit on that one, actually.
As was I. We were just talking about they have to really lean into that offensive slightly more risky style of play, but that's the only way you're going to get a big score back on the board.
Really moving. Just T-line.
Right into the top of the forefoot. And again, Northern Ontario playing the hit.
16. 15? 16. Okay. It really curled there. Yeah. I thought it was out to it too. Yeah, she's never worried about line. Yeah, it really curled though. 9.
Sydney Cat here looking for the hit, and it sails a little wide as well. So now a chance for Manitoba to draw and sit 3. It's almost as if the roles have been reversed here. Manitoba throwing all the draws and Northern Ontario playing all the hits.
Yeah, oftentimes what happens after giving up a big end is it's a little bit demoralizing, and so
I gave it an ad.
you will see some misses like that in the following end. But Northern Ontario still has a chance here to regroup and get out of this end. Everything's open, so no real worry of a steal at this point.
And the draw comes to rest in the back of the 8. Now, red spread out all across the rings.
Okay, good job. Looked better there actually. Yeah. It rode the center for a while. Yeah, my intern really curled up.
And City Cat again hanging on the wide side. He'll get a piece this time. Might get 2.
Yeah.
And she does.
Oh, nice shot.
I think they were just playing for the roll, but hey, nothing wrong with a double.
Yeah, that's always an option when you're playing it that way. That spot seems to be hanging pretty straight there.
Just a 10, 10, 5. 10, 5. 10, 5.
Manitoba hits and rolls out, so now a chance for Northern Ontario to deal with the last remaining stone. Again, not necessarily a typical offensive choice here, but they've got their mind made up that they want to keep this one clean.
Yeah, if they can get a blank here and maybe set things up a little bit better in the 6th then.
Makes the hit, and it rolls just a little too far from the looks of it.
Got it, 16.
India Young just going to throw a draw into the forefoot.
We can go.
16 should be right on the mark.
So far the ice is holding up perfectly. Speed's still great.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been impressed with all the games I've watched, that not only is it fast and swingy, but it holds up. It doesn't break down. There's not a lot of fudging, especially in that slide path where you sometimes see it. It's just been a fantastic piece of ice and a great surface all week. So, like you said before, that's what the players want, and that's what they love playing on. So, top marks to the ice crew.
Yeah, great conditions for these athletes. Fantastic.
Georgia Cat makes the hit, rolls wide, and now Shayla Hayward will have a chance to make that one go away. Shayla would like to stay here, but it's not really the end of the world given the setup. She does stick around, however.
Leaves that tricky one right on the edge of the rings here, so you got to go pretty wide to get this one.
That's good, just a little outwards, but weight was good, 9-8. Curled up a hair.
You definitely noticed the Northern Ontario team taking quite a bit more ice than Team Manitoba. Different releases like you talked about earlier in the game.
Raya Baker trying to stick this one on the nose, and they're trying to make it curl. This is hanging.
Just got a piece.
Got a piece, but will not stick around. And now Shayla Hayward will try to play the sneaky freeze to see if she can get a cheap steal out of this.
Yeah, those pesky rocks just outside the rings often come into play, it seems. Definitely would make the blank a little bit harder if she can lock it on the corner here.
Hayward looking for a biter freeze on the absolute edge of the world.
Not an easy shot, but really they have nothing to lose here,
yeah,
so they may as well give it a go.
Would like to keep it in play to make Northern Ontario throw something, but that will not be the case, so I imagine we'll see this one fly through. Manitoba's not upset about that result. When you've got a big lead and the other team is willing to play for blanks, that is one less end they can score in. So,
and for Northern Ontario, they get a chance here to regroup next end and maybe set things up in a way that allows them to go for it a little bit more.
Yeah, they're going to have to force the issue a little bit more in the next end, but for now, there will be no points awarded. And it is officially a blank end. Manitoba will start us off after the break. Northern Ontario will still have the hammer. We'll be back with the sixth end. sixth end underway. Manitoba's Dana Wall starting us off. Once again, Manitoba trying to bring play into the rings to combat that free guard zone.
This one looks a little bit hot.
It slides through. If you're going to miss, that's the way to do it. You don't want to be light there.
So Northern Ontario actually calling a center guard here because of the no tick rule. It's a little bit safer way when you're really down late in the game.
Yeah, maybe it's just a bad aura right here.
I kind of like it as just an ultra aggressive play anyway.
Yeah, I think that might be, you know, part of the game that sort of develops.
Because I find, like we were talking before, so many teams throw that corner and never use it. So when you are in deep, you play that center guard almost like you're trying to steal. And this is going to slip into the house, and that's going to be...
that's one thing you can't do.
The only thing you can't do. That rock could be pretty much anywhere except in the rings. So no hesitation there from Shayla Hayward. Puts the broom down. Dana Wall going to try to just make the yellow go away.
9.
She'll have a good chunk of it, but will not stick around. And
it looked heavy to me.
We'll see where Northern Ontario wants this one. Yep, calling for the center again.
It's okay. Dana, it's because you keep throwing interns. We gotta get you back on the out turn.
Well, I asked for the intern to draw because these ones I wasn't making either. 3, 9.
Light on the out turn. Heavy on the intern.
Yes!
This one is not going to reach the house, so that's good news. Trying to,
if they can reach the center line here, should be good.
Try to carve it over just a little bit, and the finish splits the center. That's a great shot.
Probably the same weight I threw last time.
This one looks also pretty hot here, coming down.
Sweepers don't want to touch this one. Will it hang on at the back?
Northern Ontario, I wouldn't be sweeping this. I would try to leave it, but...
Yeah, exactly. When you're Northern Ontario here, or if you're a team that's losing by a bunch, you want everything lined up at the back of the house so you can have something to jam on, something to freeze to, something to help you out a little bit later on.
You're just barely super slow. Okay, like I swear I slid so slow.
No, I thought your slide was great.
Okay, what on earth is this?
Well, you added. You added quite a bit more than
like not that much. I
more
just
than
gave it
other throws.
Okay.
So it just makes a difference. It just slides so much. Like.
Yeah, I think this one looks a little hot too. I don't know.
I'm wondering if the ice conditions are changing or if it's just, we've seen quite a few heavy now. I think that's maybe 3 or 4 this end.
15 and through the house. Like
normally you'd blame the fifth end break, but they have had a whole end to adjust, and they did make a bunch of draws in the last end. So is it?
How would you do the draw again?
The
they've all been in that same path, so I wonder if maybe that path is just lightning.
We always joke about it at the curling club that towards the glass is always faster. But
yeah.
I don't think that's going to be the case in this building.
The game beside us is in a bit of a break, like between ends, so sometimes that has a small impact.
Just a reminder, 8 games going on right now, and playoff spots very much up for grabs. Not a lot of teams eliminated from this competition at this point, with a couple more games to go. If you want scores, schedules, standings, check out curling.ca/scoreboard.
I don't know what went wrong me this end. I guess I do think I added a lot more this end. I was like,
Like you had good abs on your other one. This one just was a tiny bit more.
yeah. Because you said out of my hand, you were like, I like the ad, so I was like, oh, like, you're super close, but then just ran.
Down, it was like
It just
way
ran
off.
dead
You were too
straight.
much.
Yeah, exactly.
And now,
I like board.
because Northern Ontario wasn't able to get those first guards up in good places, now we're in for a bit of target practice for the next few shots.
10-5.
11. Yep. 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 Yes. 11. Clean.
Now, if I'm Northern Ontario, I'm not hitting this stone. I think I'm either trying to come around it or freeze it or try something.
Yeah, you got to get a little bit more aggressive. Yep, throw the guard. Don't mind that
Yeah,
either.
that's not a bad call either, yeah. Hope for a miss from your opponent, and then you can come around it.
Even a nose jam, you know, just
Yeah.
if you can get any more rocks in play, that's going to be to your benefit.
This game is so boring.
You said it, I didn't. No, not the most exciting game when it's just see one, hit one.
Yeah, that's what happens when you don't get set up those first few guards in the right spots. And
Wait.
this is another one heavy here, so yeah, I'm wondering if the conditions are changing a little
Must
bit,
have
or if
heard-
everyone's
they must have
just
heard me say this is too boring.
got the case of the heavies, or
Yeah, that does happen sometimes, but like I said, I don't imagine the conditions have changed all that much, unless
10-5.
I don't know, a fan turned on or a humidifier or something, but it doesn't normally happen that quickly. This is a very long week. I don't know how many of these players are used to playing a game or two every day for several in a row, and you know, as we see every year during the Worlds and the Olympics, is the fitness matters. The athletes at the elite level are absolutely fit, so they are totally in control as much at the beginning of the week as they are later on. When the fatigue starts to set in, that's when the fitness really starts to kick in. So.
yeah, we found that like when we played at the Briar this year, that was my first sort of, like I told you earlier, my first national, and by Wednesday you're tired.
Yeah.
Even though it's quite a light schedule, you're usually playing only 1 or 2 games per day, but it's just you're not used to those long events on tour. Usually you play a weekend and you're done, but yeah, it's the fitness level, and also just mentally you got to get the proper amount of sleep, nutrition, all that stuff that plays a role.
I like a 10-5.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, playing 8 or 9 or 10 games in a week doesn't sound so bad, except there is not a lot of recovery time. You don't give your muscles that chance to kind of reset, and unless you're getting paying attention to getting a lot of rest and a lot of sleep, and warming up and cooling down appropriately, doing all the stretches.
Even
it
the
will
fact
it will catch up to you by Wednesday for sure.
Even the fact that you're not sleeping in your own bed, you're in a hotel room for that long, like there's a bunch of factors that that come into play, but the better teams know how to manage it, especially if they've been to some of these events quite a few times at this point. You usually plan for it.
Yeah, and if you talk to those elite teams that travel the country every weekend, or sometimes they're over to Europe and or Asia, depending on if it's a championship or something.
Oh, there's a miss.
A little break there. They all have systems in place to deal with all the elements that involve with time changes, travel schedules, getting refreshed and getting on the right time zones, whether you're setting your alarm for different times before the event or whatever. But it is a huge part of your performance if you can be as fit and as awake and as rested as possible when the time comes.
Any extra extension really adds weight. So I do it like that.
I was working with a team that was playing in the European Championships this year, and we had to go to Finland. They were in Europe, so it wasn't a big time zone difference for them, but for me, it was a very different time zone, and at that time of year in Finland, the sun was up for about 2 hours a day, and
wow.
I never realized how much the daylight, you know, kind of helps reset your system, and when there was no daylight, after 10 days, I was still waking up in the middle of the night. I could not get in the right time zone.
You were probably in the curling event venue during those 2 hours of sun, right? So.
Yep, absolutely.
Natural. Yeah.
So, Northern Ontario got a little something going here, but there will be a potential double.
I think a third, right?
Thin half, maybe a third will get them both.
Yeah.
This is one if you're Manitoba. Make sure you get one. Two's not the end of the world here.
Exactly.
Here.
Yeah, you end up throwing oftentimes this shot a little bit safe and hitting it thicker than you want, but that's okay with the score line the way it is.
Yeah, there is a little too thick. You can still probably get the roll and sit shot.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some options here.
But yeah, make sure you get that first one, and the second one's a bonus.
This one looks really close.
Really close. And look at that. What a shot from Shayla Hayward. Northern Ontario finally had a little something going, and Shayla says, no, you don't.
Great shot. Hit it absolutely perfect. Good line call as well.
Now, is this the nose hit or the draw?
Looks like they're playing the hit on this wide one.
Yep. Has to hit and stick. Looks like this one's running a little bit, trying to curl it over. Can't roll out, and she doesn't. Right on the nose. Point on the board for Northern Ontario. That makes it 5-2 with 2 to play. We're going to take one more quick break. We'll be back in a second.
You made life so difficult. You made it.
Welcome back, folks. We're in the 7th end here, and Team Manitoba is in control of this game, up 3 with the hammer. So Team Northern Ontario wants to set up a couple of center guards here, try to get a steal going. Now this one just over curling off the center line, so it is tickable if Team Manitoba chooses to do so, but they're choosing to just draw open side, which is also a good call. I like this call because it keeps things simple down the middle. One less extra rock down the middle. A lot of teams would come around that guard, but with the scoreline the way it is, this is a great call.
3.
A little bit light. At this point in the game, you really don't want an extra guard, but looks like this one might come up short here.
And not the ideal miss. And I think Dana Wall knows it based on that look.
I think 17 something, yeah. 17 maybe. I forget.
I believe she was heavy in the prior end, so that was maybe just a little bit of an over adjustment there.
This one with a ton of rotation compared to some of the other ones we've seen.
This one looks a little bit heavy as well. Uh-oh.
That was... Now, Manitoba trying to take advantage of their corner guard.
I'm surprised they're not just going up and peeling that guard, actually.
That was my thought, too.
Guards are not your friend at this point.
The old peel of shame. The only time the lead gets to throw a peel.
It's the only peel they get to throw, so.
Top four. Top four.
The only one you get to throw is when you screwed up your first
one.
Yeah,
exactly.
However, it looks pretty good. Past the guard, curling up a bit, and throwing the brakes.
It's a nice shot, but it's a little bit deep and allows Northern Ontario to use it and freeze on top, yeah.
I think regardless what happens, you'll see Manitoba go up and peel that center guard. All they want to do is make sure they have an easy shot to score here. Doesn't have to be multiple points.
But Northern Ontario is going to have a chance here to, if they glue this one on, put some pressure a little bit.
This one seems to be sliding again. A little too much weight. It's that same spot that just keeps going. Trying to get a piece of this one. Looks like they'll touch it. And spins out.
Good enough?
Yep. No. A little concern in the skipper's voice there, but they got away with it.
I'm known for a panic line call or two myself, so totally understand.
She's worried, but we were on it the whole way.
Okay, second attempt at this freeze.
Just through it. Should be able to take a little weight off.
Sweepers are kind of on and off of this one, so it must be a little bit closer.
Seems like it's still well wide, but here comes the curl.
The weight's right. Should get over there.
Yeah, there it goes. It's trying to. And just bounces a hair.
Nice attempt.
Just a little piece buried. Most of that yellow is exposed. You should be able to get to the nose pretty easily.
All right, so yeah, exactly. So on this shot, the key is to, if you're gonna miss tight and hit the guard rather than missing wide.
Calling that 13 again, which we think is closer to hack, probably backboard. If you're light, yeah, keep the broom down.
Yep, hard. Yes, yep. Whoa, whoa, curl, curl, curl.
Past the guard, across the face.
Very nice.
Very nicely done. I always love it as a sweeper when they can't agree on whether you need to sweep or not. It means the shot is made.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when they both change their mind. Yes, no, yes, no, no, yes, no.
You know you're close.
That means you're right where you need to be.
thought it was a hair light, but it actually booted it pretty far.
Oh yeah, I think
That was probably a 13.
I think any before you got a little bit stuck on the center.
Yeah.
This one's a little bit wider here.
Again, looks a little heavy too. This is a bullet.
Yeah, too much weight, I believe.
Not sure if they were going for the double, but I think the more appropriate call would have been a bit softer, trying to just bump those, rattle them around, maybe make a pocket.
Yeah, probably like back 8, back 4 weight. Those are all things you learn the more you play and the more you attend these events, right? So
I know it took me a long time to learn to love to draw. When I was a teenager, all I wanted to do was just whip 6-second peels down there. And
yeah, especially on ice that's 16.5 or so to the tee line. It's a very tricky ice to draw. You feel like you're barely kicking out of the hack.
Now I'm waiting for the right side. Good.
I heard someone say earlier, I don't think I can kick it out any slower, so sometimes as a player that's how you feel.
yeah, I hear that. It's one thing I challenge when I'm teaching like club curlers. So when you're trying to throw different weight, what do you actually try to adjust? And because I think so many people just have one slide, or like I slide out and I figure it out along the way. It's like, no, okay, you got to change it. You have to change something if you want to do it faster or slower. And a lot of them don't have an answer to that question.
Yeah, sometimes slowing down even just your pre-shot routine and your setup and hack and everything kind of gets you in the right mindset. Deep breath.
Yeah. Some people think about how hard they're kicking, whether it's a scale of 1 to 10, whether it's a big kick or a slow kick. To me, it's all timing. I just either speed things up or slow things down, but try to do the exact same thing, just a little bit slower.
Even here.
I'm not saying that's the right answer. I'm just saying that's what works for me.
Yeah, it's a feel game, right? So whatever works for you to get that feel and get the draw weight.
That draw was almost really good, just comes up a bit short, and I think red does still sit 3. So now Manitoba trying to really twist the screws, put the pressure on. Try to sit 4 and make Northern Ontario squirm a little bit here.
Yeah, Team Manitoba is not letting go of that
Back 4.
their foot on their pedal here, so they're putting a bunch of pressure.
Now, take this all the way back to not make a pocket. And I think that's actually not a bad spot, because I think it is still 4th shot.
Yeah, it looks like they're, well, it's close, but I think they are line 4, so.
Yeah, the problem would be if you left those kind of right next to the 2 reds right next to each other, then building a little wall that Northern Ontario could lean up against. But with that stagger and the way they're arranged, it's not a super helpful setup for Northern Ontario.
Yeah, they've only really got the one rock to freeze to, right? Which is one of the hardest shots in curling, to freeze a rock perfectly.
Especially when you have to negotiate a rock that's about 2 feet in front of it.
Exactly.
So they're drawing to the right side as we're looking at it. I think I might be trying to play the more difficult out turn, coming to about where the broom is.
Yeah, the corner freeze on that red.
Because even if you make this freeze to the right side, you're not going to be shot. The only way you get out of this mess is if you make a really good freeze, and this is the wrong one, I'm afraid.
Yeah, you have to be shot rock after this shot, and unfortunately I don't think they will be with this call. Case of the heavies.
Heavy, yeah. May have nudged that red far enough to cut a point down, but either way, I don't think that's
won't matter much in the
not going to matter.
Scheme of
Exactly,
things.
yeah.
Now, if you're Manitoba, where do you put this rock?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I still think the one shot that's going to kill you is that freeze on the edge of the 4-foot.
Here's the hit and rolls part.
So I might try to make that now or get one in the way of that.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other option is just draw to the other side of the 4 foot, which I think is what Shayla has decided on.
Yeah, edge of 4, tee line.
Broken broom. Yeah, like that freeze that we keep talking about is not easy. And even if it's made perfectly,
You'll still have a draw for 2.
you'll still have a draw for 2,
So-
provided you have a bite of the 4 foot here. But yeah, I don't even, like, I would maybe consider top 8 wide open on the left side of the center line, and that would take away any threat.
I'm really impressed with this Manitoba team. Their communication and talking about paths, and this one stayed straight. They're very they're talking a lot out there, which I always like to see.
Yeah, and I've been really impressed with all the teams this week. That you can tell the ones that were really well coached on, especially the ones who dwell on communication, really try to dial in those routines to make sure that everybody talks about everything all the time and gets the right information. That one, a little heavy, but
No, you can't freeze there, I don't think.
that's
because
not the one that's going to help you.
You're not going to be shot, right?
Yeah.
So
That's the one. It has to be corner frozen to that 4 foot rock. And that's the only way this game continues. And I think they've still talked themselves out of it.
unless they're thinking try to force to 1 and score a big end with hammer, but
Well, even if you make this freeze over here, there's going to be an easy draw for 2, maybe 3.
yeah,
And
it's definitely not the.
That's ball game. So there's not to dwell on it, but this is the wrong call. There's no way to win this game if you're going to throw it over there. I don't think
And
this one has the
looks like
weight.
Yeah. Heavy on the first, so it's a little bit of an over adjustment on the second one here.
So already 3 in hand, maybe 4.
This will likely, well, it should be ball game here.
Yeah, it should be ball game. That'll put the score well out of hand. And Shayla Hayward just needs anything better than half of the 8 foot. Already looking good here in the 7th, and this could be the dagger. I don't think she's heavy either.
Gotta be full 8. Make sure.
Line's okay. They just need to get a good chunk of 8 foot.
15-9.
15-9 should be right to the tee.
Looks like she made a nice adjustment from her first one. Good
And
shot.
there it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, but it might not matter. They'll have a look at it. But regardless, it is handshakes, and that is the ball game. So I don't know if they're going to count that 5th point or not, but it's either a 9-2 or a 10-2 final. And a real solid game there from Manitoba. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I'm super impressed with this Manitoba team. I think they're going to have a great shot at the playoffs and to do well. So good win for them. And for Team Northern Ontario, I think this is this event is a building block in their journey, and I think they're going to learn a lot of lessons going forward.
Yeah, for sure. They're still a young team, and they've got a few more cracks at this. They'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. with a men's draw. And then again at 2 o'clock and 6 p.m. tomorrow. So tune in on YouTube, Curling Canada. Thanks for joining us here in Sudbury, Brian Chick. And
Dustin Montpellier.
Dustin. I'm going to call you Dylan, and I'm like, what? That's not right. Don't say it. So apologies, but
thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. We will see you tomorrow. Have a good night.
Good night.
It's a beautiful blend of strategy, skill, and creativity. Curling. But it's our people that make us great. We're a mosaic of countless experiences. We communicate and collaborate. We value new ideas and different perspectives. We learn from our past and from our future. We may even disagree sometimes, but it's in our differences that we can see our strengths. The beauty of our sport is reflected in our people and our values. Regardless of your ethnicity or gender, your abilities, your stage in life, your beliefs, or who you love. The rocks and the ice don't discriminate. But as curlers, we won't either. We will be the change that we want to see in the world. Curling is a place for everyone.